up, guys? It's Nora. I'm back, and here is part 2 of the moving story of what went down once we got to Sweden and everything after all of the craziness with traveling. And again, I apologize for the echoiness. It's echoiness. It's this room. It needs more furniture in it. We're working on it. But anyway, we slept that whole first day in Sweden, and then it came the point where we needed to the next day we had a following appointment to go to the migration agency, and which was a hard appointment to get actually. And we had to give them all of or they had to fingerprint us and take pictures, which is like what they call biometrics, so that they could give us our card, which we already have received, which is physically our like visa card that says like we could stay from this date to this date. That's what the visa is on, which is different than your ID card and personal number, which we kind of got confused with all of that stuff. So the big thing that we need is the personal number, and we need the personal number to like register for healthcare and like go get a phone number and like go get a bank account, and you can't do anything. But like you also can't physically go about this process any faster than we have gone. So once we got to the tax agency, and they were, not the tax agency, the migration agency, and they were like, yeah, so you'll get this card in like 2-3 weeks. I'm like, so how are we, I thought that we needed that card to get our personal number. So he's like, no, you can, if you have documentation, you can go to the tax agency and physically, like, we thought we were getting a card. Like, most places in the US print cards whatever you need, most places, whether it's a DMV, a bank, they will print your card there and give it to you. So that was what we were under the impression of. So I'm like, hey, but we need our personal number so we can get a bank account so we can pay rent. Yeah, because we're supposed to get our apartment. Did we get it that afternoon? No, the following afternoon. No, we got it that afternoon. And so he's like, yeah, but you can go to so this card will take like up to 2-3 weeks for us to send it to you. We got it within like a week because we literally went that second day. And he's like, you have to make an appointment to the tax agency to apply for your personal number. But he's like, they're typically like really easy to get appointments. So we flew back to the hotel. I ripped my computer open, and it was like the only place we could go was Lund, which is fine. So there was a last minute appointment. So we like filled out all of our paperwork, because you like have to fill out paperwork like prior to us arriving, which we didn't. Again, this was another one of those things that we like didn't. It was confusing because you have to go to like multiple offices to go do different things. Sadly, I made an appointment for the following day, but I didn't realize that. I thought I made it for the same day. So we rushed to this tax agency office in Lund. I like run in. Jacob's trying to find parking. And the guy tells me, he's like, no, your appointment's for the following day. He's like, but I'll come in and help you. Like, it's fine. It'll take no time. We go in there. We apply for our personal number. And they said either like in 2 years, I feel like they said 3 to 12 weeks. I heard 12. Jacob heard 3. Multiple weeks it's going to take us to get even a response from them, and they might still ask for more information. So we have physically gotten our Visa card. We have applied for our personal number, but we still can't get like healthcare, bank accounts, any of that. We still are like using our American visas to like pay for everything. And then they were like, yeah, it's gonna be like everything here is snail mail. So now once we get when we get our personal number, and I know appointments take another 2-3 weeks after that, we have to like physically go back and apply for our ID card. Yeah, I know. It's a process. So we didn't find that out again. So we were like, for paying for rent, we already like paid a deposit. Like we've been doing like bank wire transfers. So we were able to get our apartment. So that later that day we physically got the keys to our apartment, and we have been here in the apartment. So far, everything has gone really well with the apartment. But then disaster struck when it came to the rabbits. And I'm going to put that part on another SD card. So like I said, we got our apartment, no biggie. But also, like I said, it's a very lived-in apartment. There's a lot of wear and tear, but it's great. We're not mad about it at all. We don't think the landlord came here in between and inspected. Like the damage that the prior tenants did, but they're like, we don't care, you can just do whatever you want to the apartment. And we're like, I don't know if that's because they like trust us or what, but. So that's right, we got the apartment Wednesday, but we like we moved like half our bags in, and then the following morning, because we extended an extra night in the Scandic, so we stayed there 2 nights. And then the following morning, we brought the rest of our bags. Turns out when they say second floor, it means third floor because the first floor is ground level here. So we are actually on the third floor, not the second. It's a lovely, lovely little community and a lovely, lovely little apartment. It's not apartments because technically people own them, but it's cute little, they're essentially condos. Cute little condo, multiple buildings that we live in. And Wednesday night when we were at the Scandic, when we already got in our apartment, we were under the impression that the rabbits were coming. Now to get the rabbits over here, we had to pay a lot of money to a company. We then, within like 10 days, we had to fly with them within 5 days, or else it would be considered a commercial move and there'd be lots of customs. But if you fly within like before or after them of 5 days, it's considered non-commercial and you have to pay like a huge customs clearance tax and fees. So we last minute, because we weren't sure like what day we were flying out until like 2 weeks before, we contacted the company. They already knew like that we were thinking of using them because they were literally our only other options to get the bunnies over, because I did not have the heart. Like I felt like our bunnies are meant to be with us and I did not have the heart to like rehome them or like give them to the animal shelter. I felt like they were meant to be with us. But then also rabbits get like really, really stressed really easy and they can have GI stasis really easy. We were very worried about them flying in terms of like stressing them out too much and them having like a medical event and like showing up and like dying, which was a big concern. But this company like they contract people to get them to clear customs and to bring them at the airport. And then like for someone like met us at the Denmark airport and brought us to like the cargo facility and then to the customs and then back to the cargo facility to pick them up. It's a whole process. But they were supposed to fly out that Wednesday. So we went because there's a 6-hour difference. We're ahead. We went to bed, stressed out, anxious, thinking that the rabbits were supposed to get on a KLM flight. And Jacob's mom dropped them off at the cargo facility the following day in Boston. The day before she dropped us off at Logan Airport. Well, she dropped them off at a specific, like, I think she said it was a Delta air cargo facility, although, like, technically it's KLM because they share whatever. She dropped them off with the lady outside of the cargo facility because she wasn't allowed to go in. And this specific, very kind human took them in. They were supposed to check in 4 hours beforehand. And everything was, like, set to go. We had paid the company. And this poor human being who lives, and I don't know why she does this job, she lives 2 hours away from the airport. She left them. They were supposed to be all set to go. We made sure that they were allowed to be in the same cage together. There was like question as to whether they might get separated or like put in a larger cage with like a mesh between them. But we went to great lengths. There's like very specific guidelines on like how the carriers have to be. The crate metal mesh has to be covered with like burlap mesh. It has to be like wire tied, and they have to have certain signs on it. They have to have extra food, and luckily I sent them with like 3-4 days worth of extra grain and hay, and it had to all be taped to the top of their carrier, and it had like very specific instructions on like, my name's Phoebe, my name's Gus, I'm this one, I'm that one, I eat this, please, this is my emergency food, please call my mom if you need to give it, do this, do that, whatever. There was a lot behind the scenes, and then for them to have to go, we had to, 10 days prior, find a vet. I had spent 2 days of 3+ hours calling over 25 different vet offices in our local area, trying to find a vet that was USDA certified to give health certificates out to rabbits, because they all do like cats and dogs, but they don't do rabbits, to fly. We like within 48 hours, last minute, found a vet that was willing to do it in the time frame that we needed to. And they took them, we spent $600 for them to go get examined. And then they had to send in the paperwork, and then they physically had to, like, days later, approve the paperwork and send the original paperwork to us overnight, which didn't even arrive until after we left, but Tina received it. Jacob's mom, the one who, like, brought them to the cargo facility, she received it, and then she had to, like, also provide that at the cargo facility. Wow. I wake up, we finally fell asleep. I was anxious all night long, thinking they were getting on the plane. I was, like, kind of awake when they were supposed to be getting on the plane. And I wake up to an email, a very bland email, stating that the bunnies did not get on the flight, that they pulled them last minute. They were going to board them and then pulled them, which I guess has never like happened in the history of this company working. And also the Danish person that like cleared them through customs said he had never heard of this happening, because KLM did not issue or put on their specific ticket that they gave the company a specific code. Some special code that the rabbits needed to have on their tickets. And so it wasn't until the lady had left and they were like going to be sent on the plane that they like scanned their ticket and realized, oh, they don't have the special code, so they can't fly. So this woman who drove 2 hours there and back home. So technically I thought she drove 6 hours that night, but if you do the math of her going there in the first place. So she got home after driving 4 hours back and forth, drove all the way back another 6, picked up the rabbits who were probably just sitting in this. That was the other thing that broke my heart. Is like, we didn't know when I received this email. We were just told that they didn't board, and that like that was it. Like, we weren't told like where they were, what had happened. We didn't know like what state they were in. We were just told they didn't board and we we're trying to get them on a following flight. So at this point I'm like, where are my rabbits? Are they sitting in a cargo facility just like scared, alone, like not knowing what to do? So I started to have like a mental breakdown at the Scandic that morning. I was like, where are my poor rabbits? Did I make the wrong choice? I feel like a bad mom. Was this the right choice of having them fly? Like, is this not going to happen? Turns out this lady, then we were told, has a boarding facility, and she drove back the 2 hours, picked them up, drove home 2 hours. So she drove 8 hours in total that day. She felt really, really bad about the situation as well, but she put them in her boarding facility and she bought them their hay and grain, like their specific ones that we buy, and she kept them and she tried to give them all the love and attention. Because she felt really bad, and she was just like a good human being being contracted. We were then told, so this was on Wednesday, we were told on Friday that they might be able to fly out because KLM flies out like every few days. And they were like, we need to get this, we'll get the issue fixed on our end, like we're disputing it with KLM. They disputed it, and then KLM was like, actually, and we're not gonna let them fly at all. Because they couldn't fix the error issue, even though they initially were like all set up like a week before to fly with KLM. So then we got the news that they weren't flying on Friday, which is, the issue is that if they don't fly within like the 5 days, then their health certificate runs out. We'd have to send them back to Maine, and then they'd have to go back to that vet, get the $600 vet check again. Then we'd have to pay some like huge customs clearance tax to get them through once they finally came over to us. It was like the clock was running out and we were like, how do we, like, we need to get them on a plane. Like, Sunday was their deadline. Sunday night was like their, like, if they don't get on a plane now, like, they need to go back to Tina, back to Maine. So they stayed at this boarding facility until Sunday night, when they were able to get them on mid-Sunday, they were able to get them on a Lufthansa flight, which we did have to pay extra for, but like, that's fine, because I'd rather pay a little bit extra and have them guaranteed get on a plane. We picked them up. They have to lay over at least 5 hours in a European airport that has a pet hospital to get assessed by a vet. So for them to like enter the EU. So they laid over in Frankfurt, and then they showed up to us, and we got them in Denmark on Monday. And they've been doing really well ever since. They at first were like really, really freaked out and took a lot, and were like, they didn't want to like come out. They have their own room, but they're doing really, really well now. And they actually have their first vet visit on Thursday. We have to take public transport to get them there. So that's going to be really difficult, because it's like technically like a 25-minute drive, but we don't have to rent a car anymore. So, excuse me, it's going to be about an hour each way on public transit. But it's really an hour because of like, you have to wait for one train and one bus, and it's really the wait time between being on the physical train and bus that takes a long time. But other than that, we do plan on, like, once we get more furniture, which is supposed to be arriving on Friday, we will be doing, once we have it organized, because we're probably going to build it throughout the weekend, we will do an apartment tour. We will show you guys like what our apartment looks like. And other than that, like I said, we are still waiting for our personal number, so I have no updates on like the health system and everything. As far as baby goes, baby's doing fine. Baby's doing great. I wasn't due for like needing another appointment anyway until probably around the time that I will get my personal number and be able to call them. So that's fine. I wasn't supposed to have another ultrasound until 32 weeks. I'm currently I'll be 30 tomorrow. So I still have time. I still have until September 8th when I'll be due for another dose of my Entyvio pen. But again, I will give you guys all an update on that. And things were going really well, and then they fell apart, and now they're going really well again. So we'll see. Jacob's currently at his, not technically first day of school, but like his orientation. And he's doing a meet and greet. It's like late at night, 7 p.m. So I'm going to check in with him, see how he's doing. And he seems to be having a great day. So that's great. But thank you guys for watching. I think that was very all strung together because it's been like over a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. Yeah, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow since we've physically been like in our apartment, but like a little over 2 weeks of traveling. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry, I'm just like completely rambling, but that was the update.